corrupt leaders can bring the country down faster than the honest leaders can rebuild it. Coming up. ANC leader Pule Mabe and his 6 co-accused, including his wife, face charges of fraud, theft, and corruption. He has been granted 30,000 rand bail for 27 million corruption case. Yep, you had me well. 27 mil. So Clement Manyathela invited Pule over for an interview about the very same corruption case of 27 million. And Pule came. Big mistake. Check this out.
Now, former ANC spokesperson and NEC member Pule Mabe has stepped down from the ANC NEC after being charged with fraud. Mabe and 6 others were released on a 30,000 rand bail after they appeared at the Johannesburg Specialized Commercial Crimes Court last week. They face a combined 16 counts of fraud, money laundering, and the contravention of the Public Finance Management Act. Mabe has since denied the charges. He's in studio with us tonight to speak more about this matter. Pule Mabe, thank you so much for making time for us tonight. Good evening.
Evening and evening to your viewers.
So since your appearance in court last week, the SIU has come out to clarify some issues in this regard, especially this contract to Mabe, and they've characterized it, as you have seen, as irregular and as fraudulent. So I hope we can take it just one step at a time. I just want to first understand, when you were involved with the company, how many vehicles were delivered to the provincial government of Gauteng?
No, thanks, Clement, and evening once more to your viewers. 200 vehicles have been delivered to Seikarbos. 156 were delivered all at once. 4 of those vehicles were initially delivered as part of the launch that took place in Tembisa in 2017. But of course, there's been numerous times where Mabe would have reached out to the department to take delivery of the vehicles. The department at the time did not take delivery, owing to the fact that they would not have had sufficient space for storage and a myriad of all other reasons that they would have raised.
Okay, so 200 vehicles were delivered?
Yes.
Is it your understanding as well that this contract was valued at just over 27 million rand?
Yes, actually, Clement, I took the time to also bring in what would have been a tender submission of Mabe at the time. What I would always have done throughout is that where I'm involved in such processes, either by way of the patents that I would have developed, I always make sure that I kept records so that later on, if such things have to be clarified, because sometimes facts tend to be missed. I mean, I saw the statement of the SIU raising a number of things.
Which we'll get to them.
Yes.
Let me just go step by step. So 200 vehicles delivered at just over 27 million rand. How much was one vehicle costing?
Well, basically, Clement, I wouldn't really have all the substantive details in that way.
Now, if you notice here, Pule is starting to be very vague in his explanations. And that is a red flag for me. What I mean, he came with the documents. Obviously, in those documents, he could have just perused through those documents and tell Clement exactly how much each car costs. But no. He just kept quiet and moved on. A red flag already.
Clement, I wouldn't really have all the substantive details in that way, because the 27 million or whatever amount that you are apportioning did not just have to do with the purchase of the vehicles. Part of that had to do with project management. Part of that had to do, because to drive a motorized 3-wheeler, one has got to be licensed. So it's a ballpark that Mabe would have submitted as part of their submission, but that included all of the activities that would have been part of the RFP issued by GDAT at the time.
Okay. The SIU, in that statement that you mentioned, are saying that the company Mabe was paid before the goods were delivered. Can you help clarify that? Because they're saying the provincial government actually paid the monies before the goods were delivered, which contradicts the principle of the contract that there had to be a delivery of services. So when you say 200 vehicles were delivered, were those delivered after the payment was already made or before?
Well, maybe, and this will deal with some of the issues that you may, or the viewers may require clarity on, which is of necessity. These vehicles that we are now saying were delivered, the delivery actually talks to when the department took possession for vehicles that would have been stored at Seikerbos for over 2 years, at a point when Mabe would have written more than one letter to different HODs at GDAT. I mean, effectively, under the contract in question, there would have been 3 HODs. There would have been the one HOD who left. There would have been Mr. Nkontwana or Dr. Nkontwana. I can't really remember the designation. And there would have been Matilda, who was the third. But there's a record to that effect where Mabe had written to GDAT to take possession. So 2 years afterwards, when the cars have already been sitting in storage.
So Pule says the vehicles were kept in his yard, in his company, Mabe, for 2 years. He says that. He's telling us that. Now listen at how he's going now, later, how he's going to change that statement as if he never said that. Listen up.
So 2 years afterwards, when the cars have already been sitting in storage in 2018 at some point. Remember, the beginning of 2018, there was hailstorm. So some of the cars were damaged by hailstorm. And ourselves, as original equipment manufacturers, would have had to carry the honors of making sure that the cars are fixed. Hence, there would have been a consistent writing of letters to the department for them to take possession.
Okay, so, hold on. Just to clarify, are you saying that the department spent millions of rands on vehicles that they never took possession of? So it's like me, I go to buy a car. I buy my car and I don't take it.
And then you put it, then it stays in a garage.
For 2 years.
For 2 years. And after 2 years, when you are taking it after 2 years, even the people that delivered the car to you are even arrested. That they did not deliver. But where were they supposed to have delivered in 2 years? Because when we talk about the notion of prepayment, which is not necessarily an act of criminality, because it actually constitutes an accounting irregularity, we have to then establish how this issue is captured in their own financials. Because from the very onset, Mabe had since said and has spoken, and this is on record, asking the department to take possession of the vehicles. So
why did the department not take possession of the vehicles that you paid for?
The department will be best placed to respond.
How many letters did you write to the department? How did you escalate the matter? I mean, it's weird to me, Pule, that so much money is spent on the goods.
Yes.
And the goods, it's like pala. Someone comes and buys cattle for so much money, and then they don't come to collect the cattle, or the delivery is not being made. Well, it doesn't really make sense. And as the company, then what do you do with the money that you've been paid? Do you use that money?
No, but remember this, and now it brings us to a very interesting point. That has been done. I saw the statement of the SIU, and what they were seeking to do was to really establish the trace of money. What monies did when they landed into accounts.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that later, but it's very important just to brush it so that when we come in...
I want to understand what you did as Mabe.
Well,
so if I've been paid monies, the department is clearly refusing to come collect what they've paid for 2 years, what I would do is probably just return the money.
No, I think, Clement, maybe the word you are using, refuse, might not be... entirely accurate.
What's the appropriate word?
Well,
you're saying you've written them letters and they were not responding?
No, I'm not saying they are not responding. We wrote to them, Mabe wrote to them letters, because Mabe had a team. And the team of Mabe was interacting with the department. I was made aware of all of the facts by Mabe, because when this thing was now hitting public attention, requiring that I also make and submit responses to the SIU, I needed to also make sure that I'm clarified more fully about the facts. One, when in Enviromobi, and this is to the best of my understanding, so they would not have just simply returned the money because the cars were procured, the cars were bought. So now when you return the money, what do you do with the 200 cars?
What explanation did they get from the government?
Well, I'm sure I wouldn't want to enter the space of what government would have said and all of that.
Whoa, Pule. Yima, whoa, Pule. Icon. The government buys vehicles from you and they pay you for the vehicles and they don't collect those vehicles for 2 years. By the way, they paid you before you even delivered, which is wrong, which is contractually wrong, contractually and legally wrong. So they don't collect those vehicles and they don't say anything about that. And government doesn't say anything about that. Pule. Guys, already you can see this smells corruption. Something is wrong here already.
What explanation did they get from the government?
Well, I'm sure I wouldn't want to enter the space of what government would have said and all of that.
But it implicates you. You have to worry about that.
No, don't. I think
because it helps us. It doesn't. Do you understand how wild it sounds to viewers now that a government that doesn't have money, doesn't swim in money, it paid millions to someone for goods and services, but they don't take those goods and services for 2 years. That sounds very dodgy. So as a company, it's your responsibility to say, hold on, you guys are going to get us into trouble here. You can't be giving us monies and you don't take...
Well, I'm sure, Clement, you'd respect this point. And here on this one, I'm advised both by my legal team and by the Lordship in court to try maintain silence, especially on matters that are ventilated before court. That issue is one of those issues that belong to the province of sub judice.
Okay.
So when we get to court, Enviromobi, ourselves, as charged persons, will have an opportunity to then deposit our understanding and also share our own evidence on what will have the letters, the record you are asking for. Yeah. So those will be disclosed.
Do you understand that? I hear that. You understand it doesn't make sense that the government rushed to pay you guys because did they pay you once you've delivered or before you delivered?
We had already delivered the cars. Okay, let me clarify the notion of maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe the SIU, when it speaks in court, when material evidence is presented, the SIU will then say to us, because they are the complainant in this case, and as a complainant, when we ask for disclosures, they will have to tell us that as soon as the cars were procured, where were we expected to deliver them, where they say we have not delivered.
They're saying the contract said we'll pay upon the delivery of the goods and services.
So they must then explain where were the cars supposed to be delivered.
But you signed the contract. You were part of Enviromobi. There's no way you don't know when you signed the contract that the delivery is,
I think,
and this is what the contract says.
I think, Clement, there are issues of materiality around the question, which I wouldn't want to enter into. There is sufficient explanation on the part of those that were involved actively on the part of Enviromobi. They have deposed that as part of their own affidavits in the case. You see, Clement...
Just to clarify something, you don't remember that the contract you signed said there must be payment upon delivery?
Look, whether I remember or not, it's immaterial. And I'll tell you why I'm saying it's immaterial.
Tell me what you remember.
No, Clement. Let me tell you. I know and remember everything about this contract.
Because if you remember that the contract said the payment happens upon delivery, then you would realize why it's problematic that the government gives you money before you've delivered the goods and services.
But who said we didn't deliver? It's the SIU. So they must tell us.
No, you told me now that the vehicles were not delivered in 2 years.
I'm saying the vehicles were kept in the... It's good that you asked the question again, because I was going to leave here with someone confused out there not understanding. I said the vehicles were kept in possession of Enviromobi for that period.
So they were not delivered in 2 years?
They were not delivered at a location that the department would have said.
No, Pule, they were not delivered to the department.
No, it's not.
Don't say location.
Yeah, there he goes. The cars were in his yard for 2 years, not delivered to the department. He told us that. But now, Like, no, I didn't say it that way. No, I didn't say it that way. What do you mean, Pule? What do you mean? You said that. You told us that. And I'm not surprised when Clement is getting frustrated.
When they were in your position for 2 years, was that in position of the department
yes.
or in position of Mabe?
No. Let me clarify the question. And I think after clarifying this one, I would prefer that we move out on this one. I'm not going to tell you which questions you must ask me. You are welcome to ask the question if you want clarity on it.
So were they in possession of the department or Mabe?
They were in possession of the department, but at our yard. The department knew that the cars are at our yard. Remember, Mabe did not, I think maybe to clarify this, Mabe did not keep the cars at its yard by force. Mabe made the department aware that your cars are here. Tell us where they need to be delivered, because these cars are here as a result of a procurement exercise that you had undertaken.
So they didn't take them then? They were still in the position of yours? They didn't take them to use them for the benefit and for the reason that they signed on?
I'm sure the department can clarify themselves.
Why was the government paying your company for storage of the same vehicles?
Because Mabe would not have procured 200 cars and put them there for itself.
What is this guy saying? What is Pule saying?
If they did not have a client. In this instance, the 200 cars were assembled at the back of an order by the Gauteng Department of Agriculture. If Department of Agriculture did not procure the cars, there would not have been a need to assemble those cars because they would not have had a customer.
So the department pays millions of rands for vehicles. They don't take them. Instead, they give you an extra 6 million rand and say, oh, take this so that you can store these very goods and services that now belong to us because we've paid for them.
I think the department is set liberty to answer for themselves. I'm not.
Do you see how weird that sounds? That's so dodgy.
Well, I'm not the spokesperson of the department.
Yeah, I totally agree with Clement. That sounds so weird. I mean, come on. The government paying him 6 million, store those cars, just to say, no, store these cars for us. That is so weird. That is so weird. Corruption in its best.
Department can speak for itself. I came in so that I can clarify issues that really related to my own activities in this instance.
One of the things is that there's monies that your wife received. Your wife was the director of Invest Trading. She received 4.5 million rand from Mabe.
Yes.
Why did she receive money from your company?
Because it's not Mabe, it's not my company, by the way. Let me correct that.
Didn't you start that company?
I started it, but
so what do you mean? It's not your company.
But there was a director when I resigned as a director.
Yeah, but that can still remain your company. There are people who...
Okay, that's fine. I'm just placing it on record that Mabe is not my company. I've since resigned, but we were, as in my company called Riverlocks, were trading actively with Mabe because Mabe was buying the vehicles. Tleki, my wife, who owns Invest, basically provided a number of services.
Like what?
Remember that those things will be detailed in court when they are ventilated. She has got invoices on all those services. Unfortunately, up until when we were charged, my wife never knew that she's going to be called on this thing. If the SIU had, the same way they invited us to answer certain questions, should have clarified them. There was nothing being concealed. Mabe did not work under a tree. Mabe worked from an office. Mabe photocopied documents. Mabe was provided all
so what
other...
services did your wife provide to Mabe?
Well, I think that question will clarify in court.
You can't tell me that your wife is a chartered accountant or was giving consultancy services to maybe look at the engine of those vehicles.
No.
You don't want to talk about that?
Don't worry. She did provide a service. She's a charged person. She may prefer to answer these questions herself.
Outside court, you said that why are they criminalizing us giving monies to our wives?
Yeah.
We are being told today that it constitutes a crime to give our wives monies earned legitimately in business dealings. So we'll hear how that becomes a crime.
Yes, I asked that question.
Is this the money you were giving to your wives?
No. So basically, Clement, let's start here. I think because we are going too far, you are starting with what monies do when they get into their account. Let's first establish, were this monies a source of a crime? Certainly no. If Enviromobi did not win a contract with GDAT to provide certain services that its associate companies would have provided for the furtherance and fulfillment of the contract that it had, Enviromobi would not have received money from GDAT. Let's start there. Why did Enviromobi receive money from GDAT? Enviromobi received money from GDAT because there was this tender. And once Enviromobi won this tender, legitimately so, it provided the service.
And the services only arrived 2 years later.
No. The services were there. Okay, let me, maybe to clarify the question so that we don't confuse your viewers. The department had gone to satisfy itself. When it was doing these payments, the department had gone to satisfy itself that the assets are there. There is no way. Actually, again, another wrongful allegation is made that even when Eguru Lane paid for the vehicles were not there. So all these things are far-fetched because at the time when these payments were being made, the vehicles were there, letters were written to the relevant department to come and take possession of the vehicles.
And they didn't.
Beneficiaries were trained on how to operate the vehicles.
But they didn't have the vehicles.
So, no, they
were sitting with you in your storage where you were being paid. That's what you confirmed.
No,
didn't you say they paid
Clement,
for storage?
Clement, I'm saying, as we speak, so that we are also careful not to create a narrative that is not entirely factual out there. I'm here. I'm not Jan van Riebeck. I can best represent myself.
Did the department pay you 6 million rand to store the vehicles?
Well, Enviromobi brought up a claim for the storage of the vehicles.
That's it. I didn't create any narrative. That's exactly what I just said now. But go back to your question of your wife. When you said we're being criminalized for sending monies to our wives, the SIU was talking about this 4.5 million rand that came from Enviromobi into your wife's company. This is why I wanted to know, was that you saying that's the money you were paying for your wife, or were you referring to other monies?
Okay, let me say this so that I think, look, I don't want us to waste time dealing with the other question because I have got a different version of what was said here. Okay. Let's start here. There was a tender issued so that we don't go into substantive issues. You get paid by the SABC. You decide what you do with your money.
Yeah, Pule Mabe, they're killing me. I'm out of time. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks.
What do you think? Do you think Pule's gonna win this case? If you ask me, I don't think so. Let me hear your comment below. And if you're coming for the first time, don't forget to subscribe.